The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, you're encouraged to like and share them on Facebook. Because right now, Howard Insurance in Port St. Lucie presents The African American Scene, hosted by Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. And I got guests for the first half of the show. So if you want to fight with me, you got to wait until at least to the second half of the show. So, and man, are there some things going on out there. I got to tell you, there's plenty to talk about. But anyway, we are having our annual show with my fraternity brothers and one of our scholarship recipients.
Maybe I ought to cue up Atomic Dog.
Yeah. Oh,
my buddy George Clinton.
Yeah. Well, if you had the young guys in here, well,
who?
When we had the cookout, right? We had the cookout, and recently the Region 1 cookout, and we had people from all the chapters from the southern area of Florida, and they played the Atomic Dog, and the young guys was doing the step.
Well, they were thinking Snoop, you know.
Yeah.
Because George, I think George made it for Snoop originally.
Yeah.
That's his boy.
and actually, I was sitting by Dave, and Brenda said, "Well, why don't you and Dave get out there?" I said, "Brenda, if Dave and I got out there, they would have to call the ambulance and put it in the parking lot after our old behinds got out there jumping up and down." But in any event, so but I have my fraternity brothers with me tonight, Roderick Johnson and David Gordon. Say hello, fellas.
Hello. Hello.
Yes. And one of our scholarship recipients is with us, Jalen Mason, and Jalen Mason is going to Jacksonville University. How cool is that? Say hello, Jalen.
Hello.
Okay. I've had the pleasure of sitting and talking to Jalen because my poor frat brothers couldn't get the time right, and they had him here at 5 o'clock, and he wasn't supposed to be here till 5:30. But nevertheless, it was a lot of fun sitting and talking with Jalen. A very nice young man. Listen, I have to tell you, for my audience, you guys have been super. Last year, after we did the show, somebody got a foursome for our tournament, and it was greatly appreciated. Dave told me about that later on, that one of the listeners called up and put a foursome in our tournament. Our tournament has become extremely popular. One of the missions for our tournament is, and Dave is really nuts about this, everybody has to leave there with something. Right, Roderick?
Correct. You know, it'd be ideal if everybody could walk out with the first place trophy or the second place trophy. However, no one has ever left the Omega golf outing without winning something.
That's right.
It could be dinner. It could be, well, no one's wanted a new car yet, but there's other prizes that come with the golf outing.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to it. This is our 8th annual, by the way. And it's growing. And I'm glad you give us a call, because last year, this is a good problem to have. Last year we sold out, and not everyone was able to get in. And I think that's a problem, but this time they moved to a different venue so we could service more people. So we're looking forward to it. We'll be this time at St. Lucie Trails. It's still owned by PGA.
If you don't know what that is, that's the old country club in St. Lucie West, and one of my favorite tracks around, and it's not very long, but you got to hit every club in the bag when you play on trails.
No, it's not long, but it's very difficult.
It is difficult. And if people want to put a foursome in, who should they contact, Dave?
Contact Dave Gordon, and I'm going to give you this phone number at 772-475-8817. That's 772-475-8817.
And this is our 8th year. And over the years, we've had some really awesome sponsors. I'm going to let Roderick and Dave share with you the sponsors we have for this year's tournament.
All right, let me start by saying thanks to WPSL.
Thank you to Olive Garden Tradition.
Okay, some of our sponsors and WSTU.
Yes.
WPSL and WSTU, we are very grateful and we're happy and we thank you. But starting with major sponsors, Unique Design and Finishes, that's Harry Zonka.
FBNL St. Lucie County.
How about IBEW, that's International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 627.
St. Lucie Jewelry and Coins. Harvey Levy is the owner.
Howard Insurance and Associates.
Lawnwood Physician Centers, Fort Pierce, Dr. Kaki.
And for the last 8 years, FedEx Services.
And A&G Concrete Pools.
Family Medical Practice, that's Dr. Roberts in Fort Pierce.
Designer Depot.
AmeriGas, that's Americans Propane Company.
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, South Treasure Coast Chapter.
We also have Nephrology and Associates, that's Dr. Florence and Dr. Rasmussen.
Cardiologist of Vero Beach is Dr. Henley.
And Salter Logistics Incorporated.
We also have Sonny and Vito, the home of Mr. Trophy.
How about Restoring the Village, and that's State Representative Larry Lee.
And last but not least, Lady C Logistics.
And that's the last for him, but for me, Big Apple Pizza, located in Fort Pierce, and probably the best pizza in Florida.
Van Duzer,
No.
always a strong contributor in our community. Yeah, if you remember, Van Duzer had that big bear hug on President Obama when he was here. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember seeing that, yes.
Yeah, that was at the Big Apple Pizza right here in Fort Pierce.
Now, can we ask our listening audience to please support our sponsors?
Sure, absolutely. Those people that we just mentioned have been diligent sponsors. We have a couple out there that haven't made a full commitment yet, but I hope we'll know by next week, and when I do, I will come and I'll mention it here next Wednesday. But we would ask for all of you to patronize those people that have been sponsoring our tournament over the past 8 years. Without them, our tournament wouldn't be what it is, and it has grown significantly. Over the past 8 years, we have given over how much in scholarships?
Over $70,000 in scholarships.
And for this year, we just gave away $9,000
Beautiful.
to 9 recipients.
9 recipients
Yes, sir.
got $1,000 each.
That's correct.
That's beautiful. At this point, let's get Jalen to say a few words. Jalen is, in case you can't tell, he's got a tank top on. So when he walked in the door, I said, this guy plays a little football. But Jalen Mason, come on, talk to my audience. Tell them a little bit about yourself and how you came about the idea of going to Jacksonville University and what you hope to do when you get there.
First and foremost, my decision became pretty easy because it's close to home. You know, I'm very interested in the Marine program, the NRTC program. It's one of the best. They actually have a base right there in Jacksonville, so it came pretty easy to me.
And he's being modest, but he's also on football scholarship too. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, and you play what position?
Slot receiver and kick return.
Okay. And some of you may know him because he played his high school football at Fort Pierce Central. So how many years were you a starter there?
3-year starter.
3-year starter. Good, good. So I asked him earlier, I said, Jalen, you think you're going to get any run when you get up there? He said, oh, yes, sir. He said, oh, yes, sir. He don't plan on sitting on the bench as a freshman. He he plans on getting out there and playing. You think it's going to be tough?
I'm prepared. I mean, I'm ready to capitalize on the opportunity.
Okay,
So,
that's good. So, just a refresher now. How did you hear about our scholarship?
mainly through relatives. I
Yeah,
was notified by a relative. So,
you can say who it is.
Roderick Johnson.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
do I know him?
Yes, sir.
Little Rod.
That the joke is the other Roderick Johnson is sitting here with us tonight, and the other Roderick Johnson is the son of our fraternity brother Reuben Johnson. So, but yeah, that's fantastic, and he did spend a little bit of time with our lamplighters. Yeah. So, guys, tell me what was the turnout last year? The numbers?
We had 120. We had to reduce that down from 140 due to shortage of golf carts, and one of the courses there at the PGA was shut down. So, just a huge number of people, and we're grateful. That's why we got a bigger venue where all the people can be seated inside, and enough golf carts to go around. We're just grateful that many people supported us. Now, we have people coming as far as Miami. That's not the farthest place. We got a guy coming here from New York, and some people coming from Georgia. That's a Lady C Logistics Company, trucking company that'll be coming down. So if I could ask the audience, if they don't have a team to put in, they still want to help with contributions, to give that call at 475-8817. And that's a 772 area code, to give bag stuffers, to give gifts for our golfers. Those are the people who perform. Those are the people who receive the gifts. So if you have a gift that you'd like to donate to us, we would gladly, and I do mean gladly, appreciate it.
Just to give you an example, I'm going to donate logo pins. It's going to have the name of my business and the phone number on there. So if you have a business and you want to make a donation, you might any kind of cups or anything like that that has your business name on it, we'll be glad to give it. Because when you give a goodie bag out, which is always one of the fun things that golfers get, it has all kind of little trinkets in there, which is some memorabilia from the tournament. So please, by all means, if you have stuff, and if you forget Dave's name or number by any chance, you can always call here and get in touch with me, and I will make sure that we make the appropriate connection.
And even if you're not a golfer and you would like to be a host sponsor, you can also be a host sponsor with a contribution of $100, and that will give you advertisement for your local business. You can also do that by, once again, contacting Dave Gordon at area code 772-475-8817.
Yeah, and those signs, they really look good, and that goes over big. Sometime, I think last year we had almost 2 signs a hole, didn't we?
We had 3 per hole.
Wow.
So that was pretty good. And the big banner that hangs from the ceiling, okay, we ended up having to keep it because we had 4 different sponsors that wanted to take it. And it's kind of difficult to divide up one banner into 4s.
Yeah.
That's a good problem to have.
Yes, it is. And the banner really is nice. So when people are coming up for the tournament, the banner's hanging out there, and if you're one of the main sponsors, your name is sitting right out there on the banner. It really, really looks sharp.
Not only is it hanging out there during the course of the golf outing, but for the entire week, that banner hangs, so people that are not even playing in the golf outing get a chance to see it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and now tell me, what time does it start?
8:45 shotgun start, and of course, right after that, we'll have lunch.
Yes, and I will tell you, if you've never participated in a golf tournament at the PGA, there's no such thing as bad food. I've never had a bad meal there yet. They always have good food, and they have some of the best hot dogs. I don't know what they do with those hot dogs, but those hot dogs that they get over at the PGA are really very good. Okay, so we're going to have a banquet right afterwards. I guess the banquet's going to be upstairs in the dining area.
That is correct. It's an awards banquet.
Yeah.
Where people will receive their awards and their prizes, and everyone walks out with something, as I already stated.
Yeah.
If it's free food at a restaurant or what have you, no one leaves. No one has ever participated and walked out empty-handed. Not everyone will get a trophy, but yes, the awards banquet will immediately follow the golf outing.
Yes, and he's right. And that's always been a goal of his from the outset of this tournament, that every person that participates leaves the tournament with something, and he's always been able to deliver on that promise. So now we have a couple of sponsors hanging out there still, right?
Yes, sir, we do.
Yeah. So I won't say anything until we tie him up, but I expect the one that I'm responsible for, I should have an answer within the next day or so.
And I left the bank today, and he says he would put, he would certainly sponsor.
Good. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So I'll go out on a limb and say Chase Bank.
Oh, beautiful.
Port St. Lucie.
Yeah, great. That's fantastic. Jalen, so tell me, any words that you want to share? Are you going to be homesick?
Not so much. I'm ready to start the next journey in my life.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Is it a little scary?
It's super scary. It's like it's basically a journey I have to figure out on my own.
Yeah.
Without help of parents. I mean, you will get some type of assistance, but majority of the things you have to do are yourself.
Well, let me just tell you, being scared is not a new thing, because I will tell you, my mom and dad and my little sister drove me up to Massachusetts, and we spent the night at the Travelodge Hotel down the street, and then the next morning we got up, and I got my classes, and I got my dorm room, and I got my room assignment, and I walked in there, and I put my stuff down, and then I walked downstairs, and my mom and dad gave me a hug, and they got in the car and took off, and I went back upstairs and sat on the bed and said, "Oh my God, what did I just do? What did I just do?" I was sitting there, I was scared to death. I said, "Oh boy, what did I just do to myself?" Can you relate?
I can definitely relate to that story.
And I can certainly relate. I'd like to think, the comment he made is probably similar to the comment I made. And I think I may not look like it now, but I'm a former high school and college athlete. And they all say moving to the next phase. He just said it. And the young lady from Sebastian, who's on the rowing team, said the exact same things, that moving to the next phase. I think coaches teaches that. But
Well, I think, and I shared this with Jalen before we got on the air. I was a totally different person at the end of 4 years than I was going in there. Would you say you were, Roderick?
I agree.
Yeah. The world went from a little narrow area to a very expansive thing because of all the people that you meet and all the experiences you have while you're there. And it just opens your whole world up, not to mention the fact that you get some classes that are pretty challenging, and if you got some good professors, they'll make you think about things that you really never thought about before. So, but I wanted to share that with you, Jalen, just so you know you ain't alone. The three of us old codgers, we all had the same experience and feelings you did. So that's cool. Well, look, we're coming near the end of the half hour. Dave, do you want to share anything else with the audience?
no, we just, as you said before, we got people to call me on the phone that I didn't know, and they didn't know me, but they like what they heard. They want to be supportive, and we need that again. So Dave Gordon at 475-8817 will gladly take your sponsorship and any donations that you may have. We're looking forward to a bigger and better. As I say, we had 9 recipients this year, and only 9 applied, by the way, and all of them got something.
I think this, I have to tell you, I've been a fraternity member for more years than almost I can count, and I am very proud to be associated with this event. We've been really able to help young folks get off to a good start as they leave to go away to school. And remember to patronize those sponsors. And if you would like to have a sign or you want to put in a foursome, call David. All right, I'd like to thank you, Dave. And Jalen, good luck. And Roderick's going to sit here with me for a little while.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and we're going to take a break. And don't touch that dial because we're going to be right back, and we're going to open up the mic, and we're going to talk about some current events. So you will be back with the African American scene.
Serving the entire Treasure Coast, Howard Insurance and Associates in Port St. Lucie offers a wide variety of insurance products, along with the very best customer service. Whether you're shopping for the best homeowners coverage at the most affordable value, contact Rudy Howard's team at Howard Insurance and Associates. If you need coverage for your vehicle, call Howard Insurance and Associates, 343-9878. That's 343-9878. Maybe you're planning to add a boat, motorcycle, or RV. Call Howard Insurance and Associates for your free quote at 343-9878 and get the coverage you need at a cost that will fit your budget. For home or business, auto or recreational vehicle, choose Howard Insurance and Associates, 600 Southwest Darwin Boulevard, Suite 206, Port St. Lucie. And for your free rate quote, call them at 343-9878, 343-9878. WPSL Digital 1590 presents CBS Storm Track Weather.
Hey everybody, this is CBS 12 meteorologist Jeff Baradelli. We are tracking a tropical wave that is moving across our area, making it wetter out there. It's not going to be wet all the time, but this general weather pattern that we've had today will continue overnight tonight and also during the day tomorrow. So we'll call it mostly cloudy tonight with periods of showers. There'll be dry breaks as well. Every once in a while there could be a downpour or a thunderstorm. Low temperatures in the 70s, plenty tropically muggy, and that tropical humidity stays with us tomorrow. Lots of clouds, some limited sun breaks, and some showers from time to time, even a downpour. High temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Jeff Baradelli in the CBS 12 Storm Track Center. For WPSL Digital 1590, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Thank you, Jeff. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. WPSL, Digital 1590, and News 12. The ones to turn to on the Treasure Coast for up-to-date weather and news.
We now return to this week's exciting edition of the African American Scene. Once again, here's your host, Rudy Howard.
Well, my. There are so many things going on right now, I hardly know where to start. But here's one of the things that I have to say from my conservative friends, and most of you listening are conservative. I think you have lost your values. And I am deeply disappointed in your loss of values. Most of my conservative friends have made a pledge that they are strong believers in the Christian faith and also supportive of people obeying the law. Well, we got somebody in the White House, to me, that's contrary to all the things that you've told me all my life you stand for. And I think that is very tragic. And I will say this, I heard last night, I saw Joe Scarborough, who I guess some of you are going to call him a rhino, made a statement last night that he could no longer stand behind the Republican Party, and he was going to change to independent. He is a pretty well-known conservative, and he made that decision last night. So I just would like to know, are any of you offended by what our president's doing now? The Australian news editor put out a statement about our country that I found deeply disturbing. But he was making it very clear that we are on a decline and we have forfeited our leadership role in the world. I think that's strong stuff. But and if you can, and a lot of what has taken place, if you notice very carefully, is symbolic. At the G20, I have never seen a picture at the G20 where the President of the United States was not front and center. In this last G20, did you notice, Roderick? He was all the way on the far end of the group.
Yes.
He has been, they don't particularly care for him. And they think that he is not consistently representing the values that they've come to know from us. Now, I have one of my conservative friends who says, well, I don't get it. And what does it matter what they think? Well, let me tell you why I think it matters. At some point in time, because it always happens, there's going to be a crisis of which we will have to call on our friends and allies for support. And in the past, those bonds were so strong, you never really had to worry. I'm not sure that they're going to be motivated to respond at that time of crisis. That's what concerns me. That the way that our reputation is being diminished among our allies. If there's a crisis, what are we going to do? Will our friends stand up for us or not? I wonder, what do you think? Do you think they'll be there? Do you care? One of my conservative friends said he don't care because he just thinks that Trump's doing the right thing for America. Well, you know what? The world is global. It ain't just about America. It is about the totality of all the people that we interface with. And so I do care that we have a diminished reputation among our allies. And I wish that you would also have some concern, because this really is not about party. It is about our country. And I have Kurt on line one. Yes, sir.
Oh, good evening, Rudy. It's good talking to you again.
Yes, sir.
And I guess I fall into the category of one of your conservative listeners.
Yes, sir.
I could really care less if Joe Scarborough declares as independent, because I like to think I don't like to put labels on people that vote. Seriously, when I registered here in Port St. Lucie, I registered as an independent, and maybe I cut my nose off to spite my face that I can't participate in any of the primaries. But I do vote, but I'll vote. I'll vote for the candidate. I'll vote for the person I think has the best, has the best to offer. But I think you were more to the question as to whether I really, I could really care less if Australia gets on board with us walking away from the Paris thing and the G20, and because I think Rudy, what's going to happen in the end, I think what's going to happen in the end, the United States is still a world leader, and I don't think that any of these countries that get into difficulty, or if we need their help, I don't think it's going to. I really don't believe it's going to be an issue. I think if they may come out and disagree with us not participating in the thing, but I think what's going to happen in the end, Rudy, I truly believe that this not getting aboard this climate thing and disagreeing, I just don't think it's going to make a hoot and holler in hell's difference one way or the other. And to be honest, personally, I could care less whether some dignitary from a foreign country agrees with our policies or our president's policies. We've supported some of these people for a long, long time and basically got nothing in return. And NATO is a perfect example. And the United Nations, we could do away with the United Nations and we wouldn't be any better or any worse off than we are now. So,
you think so?
Yeah, I think so. The United Nations is a money pit. We pour millions and millions and millions of dollars into that organization. And other than possibly UNICEF or UNESCO or one of those agencies there that help the Children's Emergency Fund and a couple of these others, other than that, I think the United Nations is absolutely worthless. Just name one thing that they've done that's been to the betterment of us and the world. They can sit down at a table, and Khrushchev, I believe it was Khrushchev that took his shoe off and banged it on the table. I didn't want to get off the track, but I really don't believe that, NATO, we need to have people that are, what is that, North Atlantic Treaty? We need to have but Trump made out and said, you guys aren't paying your fair share, and they haven't. We loaned France all kinds of money after World War II, and they have not repaid one damn nickel of that money. And Germany, who took the brunt of it, Germany paid back, and Japan paid back every dime of those loans, and France just stuck their nose up in the air and didn't pay us a dime. And maybe it's time we need to put our foot down. Trump says you're going to pay your fair share, and that's but that's kind of off the track. But I really could care less whether. I really could care less whether Joe Scarborough goes independent or not, because the label doesn't mean anything anymore, Rudy. We got Republicans, so-called Republicans in Congress that might as well put the name Democrat on their name.
What defines for you what a true Republican is?
Well, the original GOP was a conservative party, stood for conservative, and you mentioned the word that stood for conservative Christian Judeo principles. But it was, following the more, I'd say, constitutionalist. Follow the Constitution. It's the Bible of our land. And that's how it started out. I'm not so sure that it hasn't morphed into something a lot more. I don't think the Republican Party is very conservative anymore, to be honest with you. I think they're more. They've gone more to the center, or maybe even possibly a little to the left, where the Democrat Party now has gone to the extreme left.
I hear that all the time, and let me just say this to you. If, in fact, your read of the Republican Party is correct, then the health care thing would not be the problem that it is if they were more toward the center or to the left. it wouldn't be a problem, because on health care, the vast majority of people are left of center. I don't care. You could say anything you want to say, but on health care, the vast majority of the United States is left of center when it comes to health care. So if what you said is true, then health care wouldn't be a very difficult fight to fight.
Well, I tend to agree with you, Rudy. There's no excuse that we can't have health care for every man, woman, and child in this country, regardless of their physical condition. But, and I put that big but in there, we need to determine, we can't run off willy-nilly and just say, well, this is going to work and that is going to work. We need a couple of 3 ground rules first. And first and foremost is every idiot in Washington, D.C., from the top man, Trump himself, on down, has to be made mandatory that they have to have the same insurance plan that you and I have.
Okay.
If they want to sit up there and collect $174,000 a year, and they go across the street to Walter Reed Hospital when they need a doctor, and they pay, by the way, as you know, absolutely nothing for that, I say, okay, if we want a national health plan, we need everybody 100% participation, no exceptions, no exemptions. You're going to get to pick a plan from one of these companies or one of the plans that the government offers, and that's going to be it. So it has to be 100%. Obamacare, Rudy, probably I think it was doomed from the start. It was doomed to failure because they made too many exemptions and too many exceptions and
what exemptions did they make?
Well, Obama made deals with some of the trade unions and some of the other areas there that you didn't have to participate. Oh, your plan's okay. You don't have. Here's my point, Rudy.
Okay, wait. Don't move off of that yet, because
all right.
Part of the problem with healthcare has been the lies and repeated lies and misinformation that the public gets, which is why it took so long for it to get to the point where it is now. You know, you have people who were saying things like, I like the ACA, but I don't like Obamacare. Oh, my God, it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Because they had their political red lights on and saw Obama and said, oh, that's bad. Now let me share with you one of the reasons why we're having such a difficult time in a way trying to hold on to some of the insurers. There was a reinsurance program that was built into the Affordable Care Act. Are you familiar with reinsurance?
Not exactly, no.
Okay, let me explain to you what it is. Here's the best way for me to explain it. Here in Florida, one of the challenges that you have in homeowners insurance is because we are in a wind region, is that insurers could be subject to catastrophic loss in the event of a hurricane.
Exactly.
Okay, so one of the things the state of Florida did is put together a reinsurance pool so that insurers would be enticed into providing insurance in Florida. And what the reinsurance pool does, it caps your out-of-pocket. And you can set that up for, say, I'm going to eat $100 million in losses, and after that, I'm going to turn it over to my reinsurer. Well, you had the same thing in health insurance. It was designed to help insurers with the catastrophic claim that somebody had cancer and they hung on for 2 years, and so they were.
Rudy, you don't get any argument from me about that. But
no, but wait a minute, Dodo. So they removed the reinsurance aspect of the ACA. So now, if you remove the reinsurance aspect of the ACA, what have you done? You've created uncertainty in the marketplace. So now the insurers are not sure. It's a straight gamble if they write insurance on everybody and they get hit with a catastrophic loss. There's no relief in sight. I just wanted to make sure that you understand. So, I've been in the business for over 40 years.
I agree 100%, and I was about to say you're in the insurance business. And here's the thing that sticks in my throat, Rudy.
Okay.
The thing they have to do is we have to make a plan that everybody has to follow. I don't think it's fair that senators and representatives have one plan and we have another.
Okay. No argument with that.
Okay. Number two, I think we have to decide from the get-go. Do we want to have this a single payer plan that's administered just like Medicare is directly from the government, or are we going to allow people like yourself that are in the business to offer health care through private insurers? Now, here's the thing. It's not the way it's set up now, Rudy. My understanding, and I know from my experience when I signed up for Medicare, I was limited in St. Lucie County. I was limited to the plan I could pick. And I don't think it should be limited. I think if you have Aetna or Humana or United Healthcare or Cigna or whatever company you have, I think they should all be allowed to operate in all 50 states and in all counties. And the reason I say that, there wouldn't be a problem with catastrophic, because what you do is you divide these catastrophic losses, you divide it equally amongst all the companies participating. So
But you can't do that. You know what? That's one of the old arguments I've heard in offering insurance across state lines. Now, if you're on Medicare, then you know a little bit about how Medicare works. And if you do, you know Medicare is very sensitive to territory. If you live in St. Lucie County and you're on Medicare and you move to Dade County, you have to change your plans.
Yeah, but why? That doesn't make any sense.
I'll tell you why.
Medicare is national.
I'm going to tell you why. And this is why you can't do it across state lines the way you're suggesting. Because Medicare, those people that offer Medicare Advantage plans negotiate their rates with doctors and hospitals. So when a hospital agrees to take your plan, they have agreed to take the plan based on the reimbursement rate that is agreed upon with that company.
Okay. Well, what they do, and this is why I'm saying, Rudy, it can be done, but you have to have a level playing field. And listen, hospitals, there's no excuse in the book, in my opinion, why there should be a difference in price at Lawnwood for outpatient or St. Lucie Medical Center for outpatient surgery then Martin Health System should charge for outpatient surgery. You know, hey, this is what we're going to pay. We're going to pay you $500 for whatever the fee is. We're going to pay $500 for outpatient surgery for a carpal tunnel, for example. And the hospital either gets on board or they're not going to be included in the reimbursement. It's that simple.
Well, that happens now.
I
have a really good Medicare plan that I'm not able to sell to a lot of people because the doctors and hospitals that they have contracted with are very restrictive. So it does not have most of the doctors groups, and it does not have most of the hospitals in our area. But if I get a customer that comes in and they're new to the area, I almost always put them with that plan because they don't have any prior predilections toward certain doctors and hospitals.
Yeah, but if we can make it, Rudy, we can make it work. But the rules have to be changed, and the playing field has to be level. Look, I'm not supporting socialized medicine, but you can look at but here's the other thing. There's no such thing as a free lunch. We're all going to have to pay for this. I don't know if you've ever been to Germany. My mother was born there, and she lived there for several years prior to her death. But they have a 19% VAT tax over there in Germany. You know what that is, value-added tax. When you buy a pair of shoes, when you buy a tire for your automobile or a battery for your automobile, you pay a 19% 19%, basically a 19% sales tax on that product. And that is what a lot of the money from that is what funds their national health care. But if you stub your toe over there and go to an emergency room, it doesn't matter if you go to a fancy teaching hospital in North Germany or if you go to some country town hospital and whatnot and go to the emergency room, they take care of it. And there's no reason we couldn't do it in this country.
We can't. We can't.
We need. Yes, we can.
I tell you why we can't. I tell you why we can't. Because we're pretty hung up on tax cuts now, and I'm going to give you something to think about. We talk about one of the things that Trump talked about in his campaign was, "Let's make America great again." Okay, that was his major line. A lot of times when people talk about "Let's make America great again," they refer to the 50s. Okay. That certainly isn't a great time for me, but let me make the point from an economic perspective. In the 1950s, when Eisenhower was president, the top tax rate was 90%. 90%. Now, is that too high? Probably, but guess what? We had the best infrastructure in the world. We were the envy of the world in terms of what our infrastructure looked like in the I-95 corridor that was developed and built.
Yep.
Now, we keep cutting taxes. Our roads are falling apart. Some of our schools are falling apart. And then people keep saying, "I don't want to spend any more money." Well, how the hell are we going to keep our country? If we don't want to, let me tell you something. Flint, Michigan was a warning, big flashing red light for us. We better be paying attention because some of our pipes and structures in this country are old.
Yes.
They need to be
like us.
They need to be replaced. They need to be fixed.
Like us.
Right. That's exactly like you and I.
But seriously, we need to reform our tax code, Rudy. I will agree with you. I'll say one thing. We had a couple of people running for president here that I think they had, and I'm trying to think of that doctor. I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head. And they laughed at him. But we need to go to a flat tax. And no exceptions. You don't get any deductions for having 20 kids or 2 kids. You pay a flat tax. And I don't know what that percentage should be. I'm thinking somewhere 15%. Everybody pays 15%. You make $1 million, you pay $150,000. You pay $50,000, you know.
Okay. Kurt, I got to let you go because I got another call.
I know you're running out of time, but we're agreeing on this. But really, you think we're not agreeing, but we really are.
Oh, no, I don't think we're disagreeing at all. I think a lot of what we were saying is agreeable. But thank you for calling, Kurt. Keep on listening.
I will, because I love to keep on listening and keep on arguing. Have a good night.
Okay, all right.
I love it when folks are civil.
Yeah.
Mr. Pitt just called in, and he said that when you talked about the that 90% rate, that everybody didn't pay that.
I said the top rate.
Right, the top rate. Right.
Okay.
So we're all still in agreement then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No, he's right. Everybody didn't, but that was the top rate. The top rate was 90%. Okay.
Who paid that?
The athletes, the millionaires,
okay,
the billionaires. Those people paid 90% tax rate. Mm-hmm. Now, my point is that too high? Maybe. I could accept an argument that says that was maybe a little excessive.
Well, if you worked hard all your life, made millions, you're entitled to some of that.
Yes, exactly. So who's going to argue with that? I won't argue with that. But the question that we have to ask ourselves is, are we going to take care of our country or not? Are we going to take care of the country or not? You can't do it with air.
You need money.
You got to have money. You look at some of the train systems in Japan and Canada, high-speed rail. At one time, we had the best infrastructure in the world. It wasn't even close. Our infrastructure is falling apart because why? People want to trade tax breaks instead of trying to take care of our country. We have to decide if our country is important enough to make an investment in it. It's that simple. It's not complicated. I don't think it's real complicated. Do you?
No, it's not.
You know? And like I said, I think Flint, Michigan was a wake-up call. You think about Fort Pierce, which is an older community than Port St. Lucie. I will bet you there's some pipes in the ground in Fort Pierce that will need some tender love and care soon if it already doesn't.
Correct.
It's waiting to happen. And so we have to adopt a different attitude with and get away from the me, and with my hand over top of my pocket so you can't get any money out.
And a muzzle for those who filibuster.
Yes. But, Roderick, thank you for sitting with me. I hope you enjoyed it.
It's my pleasure, Brother Rudy Howard.
Yes. Folks, I would like to thank you so much for tuning in to the African American scene. God bless and be safe, and I will see you next Wednesday right here for the African American scene.
The African American Scene with Rudy Howard is heard every Wednesday evening in the 6 o'clock hour. Of course, we've also got archives of the show on WPSLTV.com.
Serving the entire Treasure Coast, Howard Insurance and Associates in Port St. Lucie offers a wide variety of insurance products, along with the very best customer service. Whether you're shopping for the best homeowners coverage at the most affordable value, contact Rudy Howard's team at Howard Insurance and Associates. If you need coverage for your vehicle, call Howard Insurance and Associates, 343-9878. That's 343-9878. Maybe you're planning to add a boat, motorcycle, or RV. Call Howard Insurance and Associates for your free quote at 343-9878 and get the coverage you need at a cost that will fit your budget. For home or business, auto or recreational vehicle, choose Howard Insurance and Associates, 600 Southwest Darwin Boulevard, Suite 206, Port St. Lucie. And for your free rate quote, call them at 343-9878, 343-9878.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
And the time right now is 7 o'clock.